If you're thinking about moving to the Boise, Idaho area, I went into ChatGPT and had it research Reddit forums, YouTube videos, comments to see where the top areas that people are actually looking to move to and really enjoy actually having moved there when they're moving to the Boise, Idaho area. So I've got a whole list here that I printed out of the top 8 areas of the Boise, Idaho suburbs, and I'm gonna go through them. These are not my rankings, these are ChatGPT's. I'm gonna tell you my opinions about them and what you can find here as far as homes, how far out from the city it might be, how far from amenities, what the schools are like in these areas. Again, ChatGPT went through and it looked at Reddit, it went at niche.com, greatschools.org, it looked at all these different rankings and what people are really saying. So we're gonna dive into that in this video. Number 1 is definitely probably on a lot of people's list. It really isn't probably my number 1 list. So again, I'll go through these. The first one up is ranked as number 8, and that is the town of Emmett. That is located to the northwest of the city of Boise. Now, this one kind of makes sense for me as being a number 8 town. School districts are okay there. You're going to be pretty far out from the city at this point. There are some interstate connections that are going in. I'll talk about in just a second. It's going to help alleviate that. But right now you're looking at, to get into downtown Boise, really a good 45 minutes. Now, the traffic isn't going to be too bad heading into downtown Boise. There's just not a whole lot of people that live in Emmett at this time. Somewhere around 25,000 people or so. But you're going to have your basic amenities up there, your grocery stores. Now, it's going to be a mix of homes up there. You're going to get definitely larger properties up there for less money. However, all the new subdivisions that are going into place in Emmett are definitely smaller lots. Some of them are tiny backyards, rather surprising to be honest. But if you are looking for more acreage property, then Emmett could certainly be an option if you want to be kind of just away from everything. Not my favorite community in terms of where I personally would want to live, but that's just me. I just feel like it's kind of far out there. When I first moved here, I did look at quite a few different areas, and Emmett just never really came up on my radar. Even now that I've lived here for quite a while, still not quite on my radar, but there certainly are a few folks moving there. So that's ranked number 8 as far as the top 8 areas to move into the Boise, Idaho area. Number 7 on the list is Caldwell. The reason probably why Caldwell is falling to number 7 is because a lot of people, as you can see in these Reddit forums, online videos here on YouTube, is people talk about the crime in Caldwell. So let's address that head on right now, and let's talk about a bit of the crime in Caldwell. So it is ranked basically on average of the national average as crime. So people moving here, mostly from California like myself, I moved from San Diego, I know exactly what you're going through. You're looking for very, very safe areas. So is Caldwell unsafe or is it safe? Well, most of where the crime is going to be taking place is kind of more in the urban core of Caldwell. Caldwell's not a big town, it's 60,000 people, but that's kind of big for Idaho. But where the crime is going to be occurring, again, is more that urban core area. It's an old train station town. So you just kind of have, that vibe going on. But outside of the core, you're going to have all the newer subdivisions, much larger acreage lots. But yes, is there property crime? Yes, it happens. Any sort of gang violence that occurs tends to be in the Caldwell area and Nampa as well, that I'll touch on. Again, I actually live in Nampa and I don't feel unsafe at all. I go to Caldwell quite a bit. What I really like about Caldwell in particular is the Indian Creek Plaza. This is actually in the core. So despite what I just said, again, Caldwell is a nationally average on par with safety. So it's still fairly safe. I go there all the time with my family, and I feel perfectly safe going to Indian Creek Plaza in particular for all the cool events they have there, especially in the spring, summer, and fall. They have Tuesday nights on the creek. They have live bands come in. They've got a bar. You can go grab wine, beer, cocktail, restaurants all around there. During Christmas time, they light the entire place up with, I believe, millions of Christmas lights. I don't know the exact number. You can see here just how many Christmas lights there are. It's just a super fun time. There's a parade that goes through there in the Christmas time. It's very cold. There's also an ice rink. We love skating on that with our kids. They're young. They're still trying to learn how to ice skate. My daughter just got roller skates, so hopefully this next year she'll be able to ice skate a little bit better as well. But again, I think where most people are moving to are going to be more on the edges right now, that kind of that taking over that farmland. A lot of people get frustrated by that, especially locals seeing that happen, or even a lot of Californians that maybe if you're retiring, you grew up seeing all the orchards get turned into houses in California. Kind of that same thing is happening here in Idaho, not only in Caldwell, kind of throughout the whole Treasure Valley. So if that concerns you, that is definitely happening here. But that is where more of the new developments are going in, and it's extremely safe in these areas. And that's where a lot of people really are looking into moving to. The school districts here, if you look at greatschools.org, niche.com, they're not ranked the highest. They usually have B and C ratings. So if you're really concerned about the school districts, maybe you have kids or you're concerned about the resale value of your homes, long-term appreciation, Caldwell may not be the best location for that. However, if you're homeschool or just not as concerned about what's going on with the school ratings, then it can certainly be a great option. It's going to have longer commute times for you getting getting into Boise, and that's kind of the big problem here, is that Interstate 84. It's the only big freeway we have going through here, and that really backs up with traffic. In fact, I was talking with a friend, when he first moved here to Caldwell about 6 years ago or so, there really wasn't much traffic. He could get to downtown Boise where he works in about 30-35 minutes. He said now it generally takes about an hour both ways. So traffic is definitely backing up for Caldwell. Now, I want to touch briefly, again, going back to Emmett, I mentioned about traffic alleviation potentially coming, and this is going to be an issue for Star as well that I'll be getting to, but Highway 16 is going in, and that eventually will connect from I-84 all the way up into Emmett. That's going to help really alleviate some traffic times. Not as much for Emmett, to be honest, but more for Star, which I'll touch more on that. That's looking to be completed probably in early 2027 at this point. Now, something that's really important about Caldwell is just how budget friendly it is. Canyon County, where both Nampa and Caldwell and Middleton are located, it has the lowest average property values in this whole Treasure Valley area, which is made up of Ada County and Canyon counties. Ada County is Boise, Eagle, Meridian, Kuna, and Star. Canyon County is Middleton, Caldwell, Nampa, and actually part of Star. So your median price for homes in Canyon County right now is around $415,000 compared to Ada County, which is more about $560,000 right now. So Caldwell is definitely going to be much more budget friendly, potentially larger home, lots of new construction going on out here, maybe a little bit larger lot compared to some of the areas that we'll touch on. So if you're looking for a larger home, larger lot, more house for your money, Caldwell can be a fantastic option. Number 6 on the list is Middleton. Now that's an interesting place to put it as a number 6. The people that live in Middleton absolutely love living in Middleton. I think the main reason why it's fallen to number 6 on the list is because of the relative remoteness of Middleton. It's really not that far out, but it is going to feel a bit more remote than other areas of the valley. When I first was looking to move here, we looked at Middleton quite a bit. In fact, before we moved, we were considering renting before we purchased a home. We ended up purchasing a home, but I was looking at a rental in Middleton. There was a good deal on it through a friend of mine, and I called my wife. She wasn't up here with me, and I was just like, you know, it's a nice house, but it's just so remote. I was moving from San Diego, city of 3 million people, to a town of 10,000 people. That was just a little bit too much for me, but that might be what you're looking for. So I think that's probably why it's falling mainly as the number 6, because it is going to feel much more remote for you. Now, once you're here in the valley, you kind of get used to it. It may not feel quite as far out, but it's definitely much more rural. You can certainly get larger lots, but just as I was mentioning with Emmett, even Caldwell, a lot of the new subdivisions are going to be smaller lots. And I'm talking 6,000 to 8,000 square foot lots. So they're not huge, but you can get larger lots. There's a lot of acreage properties going in, really nice subdivisions going in there that are half acre, 1 acre lots. You're going to pay a lot more for those homes. Those homes are going to be more luxury style homes. So you're definitely looking more in that $1 million price range. Once you start hitting that half acre, 1 acre, you plan for about $1 million to $2 million. However, if you're looking for a smaller home, smaller lot with a developer, maybe like Toll Brothers or Hubble or CBH, you're going to find a lot of options more in that $450,000 to $700,000 range here in Middleton. Big trade-offs, like I said, is more remote. You don't have any hospitals there. Of course, there are emergency services, but it's going to take you a good 25 minutes to get to the nearest hospital from Middleton. That was a big concern for a couple that I was helping move there. They're nearing retirement, so they were concerned about what the hospital facilities were like. Now, ultimately, they decided to move to Middleton and they love it, but it can be a concern. That's going to be a similar concern with Emmett as well. Caldwell does have multiple hospitals out there. St. Alphonsus, West Valley Medical Center. West Valley has kind of a bad rap, but it actually is more holistic in how it thinks. So that's kind of where the bad rap comes in, is people that are not holistic minded at all, they're going to put West Valley as kind of a bad rap. But we had a situation with our son where he ended up having influenza A at the beginning of this past year, and he was having a really hard time breathing. But my wife decided to take him to West Valley because we're definitely much more naturally minded in how we approach things. And so she was willing to drive further out to Caldwell to go to West Valley Medical Center because she didn't want to get the flack that we might get going to the local St. Alphonsus in Nampa. Now, there's some really cool subdivisions in Middleton that are coming up, specifically like Riverwalk Ranch. You got all these homes that are built right on lakes, little ponds. I've got a client that's moved in here. He absolutely loves being right there. It's super close to the river. Something you need to know about though, your insurer might try to hit you with flood insurance. However, these developers, typically they've built up these areas to get out of the floodplain, and there's a certificate you can get that can get you a waiver on any flood insurance, which is going to cost you a lot of money, about $3,000 or more for flood insurance. So make sure you get that if you're looking to buy near the river. And that's why you got to reach out to me, because I help people move here all the time. I know the different areas like this where there might be an issue with floodplains. I can help you pull up the floodplain map. the Treasure Valley is super flat, and there's a lot of areas where it could potentially flood. Now, it's very controlled. There's canals everywhere, there's lakes, there's reservoirs, but nature can strike and there can be floods. You want to know about that. You want to make sure you don't get caught with a super high flood insurance or even fire insurance bill. So you reach out to me so I can help you find that right area so you don't get stuck paying super high costs just for insurance. Number 5 on the list is Nampa. So Nampa actually is considered one of the fastest growing cities in America. It's been named the #1 boomtown before. I think in 2024, it was named that for growth, for job growth, wage growth, all these different factors. So it is growing quite rapidly. I chose to move to Nampa. And the reason why a lot of people move to Nampa is because it is a lot more affordable than other areas in the Treasure Valley. A lot of people are looking to move to places like Meridian. The same exact home is probably gonna be $100,000 or $150,000 less for that house. So that's why we chose to move to Nampa. We were able to get a brand new construction, 2,700 square foot home, 4 beds with an office, nice sized backyard that we just could not afford in Meridian. And we really needed that space. And I didn't want to just be house poor and throw all my money into it. So we were willing to not live maybe in more the center of the area. Being in real estate, I do drive a lot, but it doesn't matter where I am, I'm gonna be driving all over the place. So being in Nampa was perfect for us. And there's tons of farm fields around here. There's not very much traffic getting out of here, except for when you do hit the freeway. In Nampa, no traffic at all, but once we get to Meridian, that traffic starts building. So it might say 30 minutes to get there, and then it may end up taking 40 minutes because traffic builds with everyone going to school and work. But Nampa, again, is gonna be much more affordable. You're gonna find a lot of homes here in the 400,000 to 600,000 range. If you are looking for larger acreage properties, there's a lot of them available. We're talking 1 to 2 acres or much larger, 5, 10 plus acres. Now, the further you get south in Nampa towards the lake, you're gonna get larger lots. Now, these are homes gonna be $1 to $1.5 million for the most part for maybe 1 to 5 acres, but larger homes as well. So if you're looking for more of that rural, larger lot lifestyle, Nampa can be a great spot for you. Now, again, why it probably falls in number 5 and not higher up on the list, there's a few issues with Nampa you need to be aware of. One, the other issue is crime that we talked about earlier. A lot of people talk about Caldwell. Nampa is kind of similar in terms of its crime rating. Again, kind of basically on national average. Again, it's a train station town as well. It's been around since the Oregon Trail. It was an Oregon Trail stop, but you're gonna find that right around the train tracks and that downtown core is much older homes, cheaper, and that just tends to be where the crime happens to be. Again, I live in Nampa. I feel perfectly safe. That being said, of course, I do have security cameras on my home. You never know what can happen. Things can happen anywhere. We go to downtown Nampa all the time for the restaurants down there. We love Mesa Taco in particular. There's also Holy Cow, it's really good. And a lot of cool little bars and restaurants that have been opening up there. Some great coffee shops that have opened up there recently as well. So it's definitely a growing scene. They're really trying to do a lot to revitalize it. It is not like Indian Creek Plaza at all. Indian Creek Plaza in Caldwell is super cool. Nampa does not have that. There are plans in the works to get something like that and actually potentially shut down the downtown core of Nampa to traffic and only have pedestrian traffic. I think that would actually be kind of cool. You know, generally I like to be able to drive through the downtown, but there's closing a couple blocks to just pedestrian traffic. I think could be a really neat feature that could be coming here to Nampa. Also, the school districts, not great. Again, you're going to get pretty much a bunch of B ratings for your school districts. So that's something, again, to keep in mind if that's a concern for you. Number 4 on the list is Kuna. So now we're starting to get towards the top of the list. Kuna is definitely a very popular area. Now, I personally feel Kuna is a bit overrated. However, there's a lot of cool things coming to Kuna. There's a new Costco coming into Kuna, which is going to, obviously Costco's done its research. It knows where the growth is going. That is where the growth is absolutely going, from Meridian coming south into Kuna. Facebook, Meta has a huge data center that they were building in the very south part of Kuna. Definitely a lot of growth is happening there. The homes are going to be more expensive there, more on par with Meridian in terms of price point. So you might think, wow, this is more rural. I can get more home for my money. No, you're really not. You're going to be spending more just purely for the land value of Kuna. Now, the schools are pretty awesome in Kuna. They're considered very highly rated in Kuna for the public school system. So again, if that's a concern for you, that might put this higher up on your list in particular. Now, potentially you homeschool, do private school. There's a lot of resources and options for you there. That's what we do. I have resources you can reach out to me for. I gladly give those to you, and I can help you navigate the different schools around here as far as the private and homeschool options that might be available to you. Now, Kuna has a really cute urban core going on, but there's a lot of new construction, a lot of new retail that's been coming to Kuna. So again, this whole area is absolutely growing. I feel like it's overpriced for what it is right now, but I think long-term the appreciation is going to be strong. If you're looking for an area to invest in, to purchase a home, you think will get good long-term appreciation, honestly, Kuna is probably a good spot. Again, having Costco go in there is definitely a good sign of future growth. Now, something to be aware of too is that there is the Idaho State Penitentiary that's technically located in Kuna, about 8 miles or so from the core of Kuna. I've talked with many people that live in Kuna, clients. No one has absolutely felt any worry about that. It's not really talked about, not really thought about, but I have certainly talked to folks that when they hear that there is a penitentiary there, they get very concerned and do not want to move to Kuna. That being said, Meridian is just a couple miles further. It just depends on how close you're okay being next to a state penitentiary. That is located here in the Treasure Valley. Now with Kuna, you do have really good access to get into Meridian. Meridian Road is your primary access point. Now during the day, it flows very, very smoothly. However, again, during rush hour traffic, you're going to hit a lot of traffic getting up into Meridian, into Eagle. It's gonna take you longer. You get very long stretches where you can get 70 miles per hour, but then you hit traffic lights and you get stuck. I have a client who moved into the south part of Kuna several years ago, and they ended up deciding to send their child to a school in North Meridian. And from where they're located, south of train tracks that run through Kuna, it takes them a good half hour to get all the way up to North Meridian, but honestly even more with all the traffic. So they're commuting over 2 hours per day round trip, those 2 times for the school commute. So they're looking to move into the north area. So if you choose to work or send your kids to school more in Meridian area, you may have to plan for more travel time being in Kuna. Now there are gonna be larger lots, again, available in Kuna. These are gonna be much more pricey than what you're gonna find in Nampa, Caldwell, or Middleton. A lot of the homes going in are brand new subdivision homes, again on 6,000, 8,000, maybe 10,000 square foot lots. So just be prepared for that. Number 3 on the list is Star. Now Star is definitely very, very popular. I might even consider this number 1 on my list if I was to make the move here again. There are some downsides to Star, but there's some really cool upsides to Star. Star is a really small town. It was about 15,000 people. It's grown to about 18, 19,000 people. It's growing rapidly. They're building probably the most homes right now in Star, at least per capita, as compared to anywhere else. That is creating some strains on traffic. Traffic can get really bad coming in and out of Star again during rush hour. Mostly 2-lane roads getting in and out of Star. They are working on expanding State Street, which is the highway going through there. And then when Highway 16 that I talked about earlier, when that connects from Interstate 84 all the way up through Star and Emmett, that's gonna take a lot of the pressure and the traffic off of the roads on Star. There's still a lot of traffic. So if you work remote or you homeschool, whatever that, or you're retired, you're not gonna have to really worry about it. But if you gotta commute for any reason, you're gonna definitely be adding time to be commuting around Star. But Star is a super patriotic town, extremely family friendly. You're gonna find RV style homes here, small lots, large lots, brand new luxury homes, much more affordable homes from builders like CBH. So you're definitely a wide range, and it gets super patriotic. We just went there for the 4th of July, and it was just an absolutely wonderful experience with the 4th of July parade and an awesome fireworks show. The school districts are also rated really highly in Star. You're gonna be about 25, 30 minutes from downtown Boise with no traffic, only about 10, 15 minutes from the downtown part of Eagle. So it's definitely a bit of a drive to get to the downtown Boise area, but it's not that far, just that traffic wild card that can really play into things. Number 2 on the list is Eagle, Idaho. Eagle is definitely the most expensive price point, the most luxury here in the Boise, Idaho area. Big reason for that is you got the Boise River running right through the heart of Eagle, beautiful tree-lined river, tons of trees, very well developed in Eagle, and any of the new construction that's going in is pretty much luxury. You're looking at minimum for any new home going into Eagle, pretty much $1 million on up. There are some affordable options. Lennar is building in there right now. They do have some more affordable homes. These are gonna be twin homes, so basically 2 single family homes with a shared wall in the middle. So there's gonna be more affordable, more in the 450, 500,000 range, but it's a shared home. And it's Lennar, not the most fantastic builder in the world. So really, if you're looking for higher end build quality, you're definitely looking really between $1 to $5 million to be in Eagle, Idaho, but there's all kinds of things to do there. You've got the foothills, you've got the river, tons of amenities. Some of the best restaurants are located there. You've got Crave, we love going to Crave. You've got Pig Latin, that's recently gone in there, has got rave reviews. I'm going there tomorrow night with a client actually. And just again, so much to do. You've got the Eagle Bike Park, you got Eagle Island State Park, amazing. So definitely that could be number 1. It just depends on price point. If you're looking for a more affordable area, Eagle's not going to be your number 1, but if you're looking for a much higher end living experience with lots of amenities around you, Eagle's probably going to be potentially your number 1. It's an amazing area. The number 1 on the list finally is Meridian, Idaho. Now Meridian is definitely the most talked about area here. It's the most centrally located part of the entire Treasure Valley. It's called Meridian. It means the center, and it really is the center. You've got the village located in Meridian. Now, the village is right on the edge of Meridian and Boise, very close to Eagle. So if you live in any of those areas, you're gonna have very quick access to the village, an outdoor mall here, nice restaurants here, higher end shopping, and just a really fun time to go and enjoy the outdoors, do some shopping, grab a great dinner with your family, and that's the village. But Meridian has great school districts. It's in the West Ada School District, along with Eagle. I failed to mention that. Eagle and Meridian have the best school districts here in the entire Treasure Valley. So if you're looking for the great school districts, that can be it. Meridian is going to be a higher price point than most of the areas, not like Eagle at all, but really for a similar style home, you're probably looking at 600,000, 700,000. You can definitely find homes in the 500,000 range. A lot of my clients end up being that $500,000 or $700,000 range. However, you can definitely get luxury in Meridian as well with homes going over $1 million. Mostly going to be on smaller lots. There is the downtown core of Meridian that's also getting redeveloped. some really cool restaurants going in there, breweries going in there. But the area right around the Meridian downtown core is going to be older homes. As you spread out from that, you're going to get into the newer homes built in the 1990s, 2000s. And as you get to the edges, you're going to get into the brand new construction homes. Again, these are going to be pretty much $700,000 on up with some exceptions. And this is why you got to reach out to me so I can help you find just the perfect area for you and your family, and look at where are these long-term strategies, long-term investments, where is the growth going, so you can get the best appreciation value for your home. Because this next thing up here is this $1 billion investment that's going into Meridian, almost out to Nampa, but right on 10 Mile Road. You've got this place called Shields that went in. We absolutely love going there. It's a huge outdoor sporty facility, but it's like basically a mall in it. You've got a very high-end clothing that you can purchase there, shoes, anything possible, imaginable for hunting, fishing, barbecuing, anything you can imagine outdoors related, and for your home as well. And this whole area is being developed now by the same developer that built the Village, and it's basically going to be the crown jewel of the Treasure Valley, the crown jewel of their portfolio, with a $1 billion investment going in here. You're going to have Target going in here, so Target is definitely, they know where to invest their money. Target's going in, that's been confirmed. You also have Chick-fil-A that's already got in there. Again, they spend millions of dollars researching and trying to figure out the best areas to put their businesses in, and this is where massive growth is going in. There's going to be shopping, retail, light industrial, commercial. This is a huge hub, 10 Mile right off Interstate 84. A lot of massive growth going out there. There are going to be new subdivisions going in there as well. Just don't buy right next to the freeway. I would not recommend that. But if you buy in that area, there's going to be really good long-term growth in that area. Personally, the downside to Meridian for me, it's very, very suburban feel. If you're from Southern California, it's going to feel a lot like Orange County, like Irvine, very flat, lots of traffic because it's all just lights and stop signs, and it takes a long time to get around there. So even though you live in Meridian, it still could take you a while to get around, but there's so many amenities in there. You really don't ever have to leave Meridian unless you really want to get outdoors for the outdoors, like the foothills or the river. The river's not that far away. That's the main drawback for Meridian for me, is just the amount of people that are there, about 135,000 people and growing. Again, not huge, but it's going to feel a little bit more congested. So personally for me, I want to be a little bit more out in the country and have that experience versus the more city life, but it can be a great option for so many people. So if you are looking to move here, again, my name's Curtis Chism. I help people move all the time, and I'd love to help you move as well. Whether 9 days, 90 days, or even 2 years out, all you gotta do is reach out to me via phone, text, or email. We'll set up a Zoom call to help you dial in exactly your plan to move here to the Treasure Valley. And if you're looking to dive into more videos, you can look at this video here. We dive in deeper on the Treasure Valley. See you on the next video.